Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is About Time, a romance film from 2013. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Netflix. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot.
Welcome to Screen Riot, the podcast where we review a movie chosen entirely by fate. Have you ever spent more time scrolling through Netflix than actually watching a movie? Or do you go back and forth with your significant other and argue about what to watch? Well, if you answered yes to either of those questions, this is the podcast for you. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Eddie, Kyle, and John. And each week, one of us will spin the wheel of genres, and the host will have to pick a movie from that genre. If you'd like to see all the movies that we've reviewed so far and how they've ranked, visit ScreenRiot.net and take a look at the movie ratings page. At the end of each show, we'll spin and see what next movie is going to be so that you can follow along at home. If you'd like to hang out with us live, please consider joining us on our Patreon. Some of the tiers include the Discord access, so you can join in on all the fun conversations we've been having lately. And actually, speaking of Patreon, we'd just like to welcome some new members to the Directors tier. We have Melissa, Brian, Robert, and Janice that all recently joined. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for your support. And remember that because you're a part of the Directors tier on Patreon, you're automatically entered for a chance to win a free Patreon-only version of the Screen Riot Season 3 t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure you go to Patreon, join the Directors tier, and you can get an entry. So we also wanted to let some listeners know that they can commission personalized movie reviews from us. To learn more, go to screenriot.net, click on support, and you probably heard one of our first commission that we just did. We did it on the movie Hancock, Will Smith vehicle that he did. So check that out. And finally, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and you tell a friend about the show because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, the movie we're reviewing today is About Time, and it's about when Tim turns 20... Yeah, about time. When Tim turns 21, his father tells him a secret that the men in their family can travel through time. Although he can't change history, Tim resolves to improve his life by getting a girlfriend. He falls in love with Mary, and through the use of time travel, he's able to win her heart. However, as their life progresses, Tim finds that his special ability can't shield him and those he loves from the problems of ordinary life.
Yep.
So the film is 2 hours and 3 minutes long. It's rated R, and it's directed by Richard Curtis, who's mainly a writer. So a lot of the stuff that he's written, I actually know him from the Blackadder series, that British show with Rowan Atkinson, which I'm a huge fan of. But he also wrote 4 Weddings and a Funeral, the Mr. Bean series, Notting Hill, Love Actually, Pirate Radio, War Horse, which I think is a fantastic movie, and About Time.
Right.
All right. So this was not nominated for any of the Oscars, but some of the best pictures of that year that it would have had to go up against. The winner of that year was 12 Years a Slave from 2014.
Yep.
Right. Some of the other nominees were American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, and The Wolf of Wall Street. So a big selection of movies that year.
There were some pretty good ones that year.
Yeah.
Very tough to get into the Best Picture nominee that year.
Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like every movie was nominated.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
but they're in good company.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street's pretty solid.
It's a pretty,
yeah. Her is awful, and yet at the same time, it's completely Oscar fodder. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it makes sense that it would make it.
Oscar fodder.
I mean, what else do you call it? You know what I mean?
That's
like,
yeah. Oscar bait.
Oscar bait, same thing, yeah. I mean, just basically, we're going to make a movie where a guy fucks a computer for 2 hours. Does that sound good? Oh, it's going to be love, though. Oh, God, it's great.
It just screams art.
Oh, God, Oscars.
I mean, sounds like
a romance?
I don't know.
It just sounds like they put the camera in my corner of my room.
Well, Her is the watered down version of Ex Machina, basically.
Which is a fantastic movie.
Ex Machina is great.
Yeah.
Her is not. Her is Joaquin Phoenix trying to be awkward. Guess what? It's not acting.
Would you say it's horrible?
Oh, God.
Well, it's a good thing we're not
It's about
reviewing...
time you made those jokes, John. Anyway.
It's a good thing we're not reviewing Her. We're reviewing About Time.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let's get into it then. So the movie starts out with the montage voiceover from Tim. He's describing his parents, sister, and uncle and Tim just turned 21, and he's basically explaining how happy his life has been lately. And then we smash cut to the annual New Year's Eve party that his parents throw. He has an awkward almost kiss with a girl named Polly.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, I feel incredibly bad for in this movie.
What?
Because she's obviously in love with this douchebag who's running around going, nobody loves me.
Mm-hmm.
She loves you.
She's like all over him.
And he has no interest.
Yeah.
Right.
Open your eyes,
God.
dude.
Yeah. And she's not like she's ugly. I mean, she's a cute girl. She's, you know, on my scale, at least a 2. And I mean, he has a chance there, and he's not even willing to investigate it.
I'll say exactly what I said. I'm like, oh, wow, she's interested in him? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So
go ahead.
then we smash cut to his father is telling Tim about this family secret that he has that the women don't know about, right? Only the men possess the superpower of being able to travel back in time. And he also explains that it only works in his own life. So, for instance, and he can only go back in what he has already experienced or where he's been, right? So, for instance, like the father, he couldn't go. He even says in the movie he can't go back in time to kill Hitler because he never met Hitler. He was never in the same time. He didn't live through that time, right? So that sets up the whole rules of the time travel thing. So then Tim goes into a cupboard and he attempts to travel, which actually works to his surprise. And he travels back to the New Year's Eve party where he basically just kisses Polly then.
Right.
Or leads her on, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he actually kissed her.
No, he does. But, I mean, that's leading her on.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
she's like,
I guess.
thanks, Tim, because that's what you want whenever your crush kisses you, is you want to thank you. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
I think she just wanted somebody to kiss for New Year's. That's all.
Right.
I do, too. I just, obviously she was desperate. She's looking at him, so I get it.
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
a good
So
point.
Tim goes back to the present, and he tells his father that he's going to use his newfound power to get a girlfriend.
Which I thought was pretty funny. They described like all the other men, like the grandpas and all that kind of stuff, the uncles, whatever. And they were talking about one that used it straight for money.
Right.
And he's like, no, that didn't work. You know, if you ever met a nice person or something like that was all into money,
Yeah.
or money can't always buy happiness and blah blah blah. So.
Yeah. Because I mean that would be what I would use it for. I would think I'd go back and bet on the Super Bowl. Bet,
Get loads of cash, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bill Nighy.
Nighy.
I always
Yeah.
mess up how I was saying his last name, but he's got a deeper point that
Right.
Again, it's not you can do whatever you want, but let's let's think deeper about this. Is life just money? No. Oh, then I'm more interested in love. Oh, God, well, good job, son. I taught you something in the 75 years I've been your father, because it's Bill Nighy, and he's literally. He has the guy ever looked younger? I mean, his entire life. He's like Steve Martin. Like the guy's been.
He's looked the same for a long time.
25 years. I'm pretty sure he's a vampire. He's literally his character from Underworld.
He did. Yeah, he did play a vampire.
Yeah, he did. That's what I mean.
And he looked exactly the same.
And that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has a phenomenal ability to speak without moving his lips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you
You're
noticed
right.
that?
Yes.
His lips don't move at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, when
It's
you're
amazing.
174 years old, you learn that skill.
Phenomenal actor, though.
He is.
Yeah,
I
very
like
good
Bill
actor.
Knight, but he's definitely.
It takes 32 muscles to move the mouth to speak. Takes
He
Bill
used-
Nighy 3.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
he did have. Do you guys know why his hands are frozen the way they are? I think it was a stroke, right? His hands, because he's got that thing where his fingers don't work.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You never noticed that? I'll look up exactly why. I think it was
Okay.
a stroke, but that could be part of why
Interesting.
his lips do what you're talking about,
Oh,
John.
well, now I feel terrible.
I know,
I
right?
know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill Nighy.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you the story. Hold on, go ahead.
So Tim's sister's friend Charlotte, who's played by
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. Can't believe I forgot her name.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Charlotte comes to visit, which Tim is infatuated with. This I laughed at. This was he basically goes to her on her last day, the last night that she's staying with the family, and he confesses his love to her, and she basically reciprocates by saying, "Yeah, I'm in love with you too, but I wish you would have came to me earlier before the last day, because then we could have spent the summer together."
It's like
Yeah.
we squandered the summer.
Yeah, he squandered the summer, and he goes, "Wait a sec," and he goes into the cupboard, and he comes back, and it's not the last day.
I think it's
and-
like the first week.
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah, something like the
yeah.
first week that she's there, and he goes and tells her that he's in love with her, and she confesses that she is too, and then says,
Yeah.
you should wait till the last day.
Yeah, see me on the last night. I'm like, oh, you bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I've been like, bye.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's got Dupuytren's contracture, a hereditary condition which can, depending on the condition's severity, cause contractures of the fingers, most commonly the ring and little fingers. So it's was not from a stroke. He's got some hereditary condition that allows him to look like he's constantly a rock star.
That's right.
Yeah, shooting guns.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a movie called Still Crazy where he played an aging rock star, and it totally made sense. He looked like Ozzy Osbourne doing this thing the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So,
I did not know that he had that.
Yeah, interesting.
So then Tim goes to London. He is going to be a lawyer. He basically lives with a friend of his father who's a playwright.
Yeah.
And then with a friend, Tim goes to one of those pitch black restaurants that was like all the rage, 10 years ago.
I do have to go back a little bit. When he first goes to the door and he rings the doorbell or he knocks or whatever, he opens up the door of this friend or whatever. He's like, what the fuck do you want? Yeah. I was like, oh God. Like, did this guy not know that he was coming to live with him?
It doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't seem like it.
And then he says, "You ruined the first good thought I've had in like a decade or something."
Yeah, I'm like, wow, what a great entrance.
Notice that he doesn't go back to fix it.
No,
why not?
What an asshole!
What an asshole! Yeah. See, I almost wanted to see that thought though from him, where he'd be like, "Well, that's fine, you prick. I could fix it, but no, I'm not going to."
Yeah.
Where's the room, by the way? You want me to stay in?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just stretch this out a little bit longer.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
He could have gone back and fixed that.
He could have waited
like,
10 minutes.
Not a problem, or the next day or anything. I have a feeling he probably knew that guy was going to be a dick no matter when he came to the door. So
yeah,
let's play right.
That's true.
Well, and he played an asshole throughout the whole film. Pretty much.
He did.
You're right. Yeah.
He's like, I didn't want to come here because whatever, but I was told there was going to be free booze.
I hate children and everything else.
Yeah.
He's one of those.
He's
dicks.
me. So Tim and a friend of his, Jay, they go to one of those pitch black restaurants, and he meets Mary, and they have an extended long take of the restaurant, and he gets her number.
Extended long take, by the way, way too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way too long. Like it could have been at least a minute shorter, at least, and
still got the point across.
I think we would have gotten the point. It was cute, but it was just too much of a black screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like the director had this interesting thought of, hey, let's use one of these pitch black things that way. Yeah, but it just kind of overdid it, I think, too. I like the movie, but I think we were talking about earlier that there would be some scenes that I would cut. This would be one of the first ones. Mm-hmm. I think I would not cut, but shorten. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Or I don't know how else you would actually reshoot it or shoot it in a different way, because I was trying to think. Okay, well, if it wasn't just a black screen, what else would I do? You wouldn't necessarily do like the night vision look, because that's just kind of awkward.
You know what they could have done was if for some reason, like let's say that a new guy was working there that night at the restaurant or something, and like a little ribbon of light like crossed over the restaurant, and he was like, and then it didn't hit her face, it like went across her arm or something, so he's trying to see what she looks like, but he never quite sees it. Just something to give us a little bit of interest. On that 90 seconds.
I totally understand the reason why they're wanting to do this is just because it's not all about looks.
Yes,
and love. It's all about your personality, your feelings, or whatever. And
it just so happens to help that it's Rachel McAdams on the other end of that personality.
Yeah, so
I liked the scene.
Okay,
I did when I was watching. I'm like, okay, this is a little long, but looking back on it, or not seeing it because it's a black room. But
it's about time,
right? Exactly, hilarious. I like it because it seems real. It seems authentic. It seems like something that could really happen. It's not this love at first sight type trope. It's I'm talking to you. You're a complete stranger, and we made this connection on a different level other than just sheer attraction.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, there's this little scene where the playwright is pissed because his main actor forgot a line. Tim goes back in time to help him, but that causes a problem because since he went back in time, the not really the butterfly effect, but the strand, I guess you could call it, the path of him getting Mary's number never happened.
The string,
So he looks in his phone to call Mary, but her number's not there.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he has to go find her. He remembers that they talked a lot about Kate Moss. Apparently that's like her favorite model.
Yes.
So he learns that there's a Kate Moss art exhibit. So I don't know where they're having a Kate Moss art exhibit, but he goes there.
Somewhere in London.
Yeah, apparently. And he finds out that Mary has a new boyfriend. So he travels back in time to intercept before they ever meet, because they met the night when at the pitch dark restaurant. Mm-hmm. Right? So he goes back in time and he stops them from meeting.
Well, no. Okay, so the boyfriend of Mary actually met at a party that her friend was having.
Yeah, I thought that was the same night.
No.
Oh.
No, it's a later night.
Oh, okay.
But what's strange though is I was listening to John talk about strangers meeting in the dark was actually a lot better for them on the first meet than it was in the art gallery, and because when he first came up to her, he was acting like super strange. Now the actual I guess the speech that he gave her and all that kind of stuff, or when he was talking to her, it sounded really weird because they're actually in person and they're actually seeing each other. And they're not like all being cute and everything. It's like, oh, we're in the dark, we're in the same situation.
Right.
It's more of a, oh, I'm being a really big creep.
Well, the part that's weird about that is that she doesn't know him.
Right.
He knows her because he's jumping back and forth through time.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's talking to her like she should know him.
Right.
But apparently he's not smart enough to realize that she has no fucking clue who he is. The second piece is that, I'm sorry, but it's Domhnall Gleeson, whatever the hell his name is. He's not exactly the best looking dude. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say I am, but he's kind of
he's all right.
He's a weird looking guy. And unfortunately, he had more of a shot in the dark. That's all I'm going to say. He had a chance in the dark. The minute he sees her in person, she's like, you're weird, actually.
Yeah.
God, you're a ginger, huh?
Oh.
And what the thought that crossed my mind whenever they did reveal they would reveal who it was, who he was talking to after that restaurant scene. I was like, okay, either she's gonna be really, really hot, right, or it's gonna be a Shallow Hal moment,
right,
yeah.
where it's like just like whoa.
Shallow Hal is an awful movie, by the way.
It was
so
bad.
Fucking mean.
Yeah, I don't like that movie.
It's mean to skinny people and fat people. That movie
it's mean
is
to everybody.
Mean. That's a mean movie. I got to point out one thing though, real fast, and this is sort of going back to when he jumps back and steals the boyfriend's spot. There's kind of a Karate Kid thing happening here, right? Where when you watch Karate Kid, Daniel's son and Daniel LaRusso is the good guy, right?
Right.
Then when you rewatch it, you realize that he actually butted into a relationship and had nothing wrong. Like Johnny's not a bad guy, but he's obviously stepping in. Unfortunately, I believe the conspiracy theory on this one, the fan theory on Karate Kid. If you think about it, this other guy, had a relationship with Mary. She was perfectly happy with him.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that relationship. But Domhnall Gleeson, what's his name in the movie? Tim wanted her. So fuck what the other guy wants. Fuck their relationship. Fuck any of that stuff. I'm going to jump into this guy's spot and steal her.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dick move. Like, it's not exactly the nicest thing in the world that this guy could do.
Yeah, but if you really want to be with a girl, then
fuck everyone over.
And if you have this power, why not use it?
Technically,
they're not going to find out.
Technically,
right?
he found her first at the.
True.
In the
Finders Keepers,
the restaurant.
But that was
he was
just
resetting the thing.
But it was in a timeline that nobody but him remembers.
Well, he's not going to remember it. Yeah, they're not going to remember it either.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're saying as long as nobody remembers what happened the night before, everything's fair game. Okay, that sounds like
pretty much.
That's why I drink.
That's
exactly why later I'll explain to you what my wife said about Margaret Robbie.
Jesus. Okay, it just seems a little strange. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, again, I don't hate the movie. I don't. I just find that some of the thing. Well, I have to reassert that I don't hate the movie to you, Kyle. Why do I have to do that?
I don't hate it. It's just like 2, maybe.
Let's think about all these reasons. No, but in all seriousness, I just think there's a couple of times in this movie that stuff like that happens, and I'm like, not the nicest guy. He obviously redeems himself more times than not.
Yeah.
But there's just a couple of things. This being one of them.
Yeah, and he's just getting his foot wet in the whole time travel thing. So
he was getting it wet. What?
Wow.
Not yet.
Anyway, not yet. We're getting there.
Yeah. Well, he basically walks her home. They kiss. She invites him up, and they have their first sexual encounter, which was awkward.
And their second, and their third.
And he uses it again, as I'm pretty sure I would, to
Yep.
Make some corrections.
Oh yeah,
make some corrections.
Hone the technique.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny because the first time he jumps back, it's to hone the technique, right? The second time is just for fun.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But what's funny about the second time he jumps back is that then she looks at him and goes, "Only once?" And
Right.
he's like, "Oh, that's not
fair.
It's not quite fair." I mean,
I laughed at that.
Yeah,
so did I. Of course, it's funny as shit because we know that he's jumping back and forth through time. Meanwhile, it looks to her like, my sexual dynamo here can only go one time, and meanwhile he's on number 3.
Yeah.
But my man pulls home number 4 at least, and she goes home with a smile. So
Yep.
good job.
Well, she's already home.
He goes home with a smile.
Well,
Let's put it that way.
So then basically the next, we're not sure if it's the next day. It's a little bit further up, but they have a surprise lunch with Mary's parents, who we have that funny.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell them that.
Well,
we do oral.
Yeah, exactly. That was, I enjoyed that scene because it's more of a, I'm glad that he actually used the time travel in this instance because he totally overstepped everything on that first meeting. He destroyed it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they got to the dinner table or whatever, and they're like having a big laugh, and he's fixed it all.
Mm-hmm. So then
now, before that, I do want to say that I love that scene too. I laughed hysterically. But right before that is them falling in love. And I've said this on the show, I hate montages.
Yes.
With a passion. But this montage I really, really liked. They're in they're like late for work or whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're rushing, they're putting on each other's clothes and everything, and they're rushing, they go to the subway. When there's a montage in the subway of them arriving and departing the subway trains.
Yeah.
Right? And throughout the montage, there's music playing from a live band there,
yes.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
that also doesn't change.
Well, it's just meant to show that they're there playing music.
Oh yeah, no,
constantly.
Yeah. But I did like that to where they're playing that same song, but it's the montage of life going on.
Right. And they do things like you see them after they get on the train, they come off the subway train, and they're carrying boxes, and it's obvious that he's moving in with her, and they're saying that, so it shows they're building a relationship without the classic we're falling in love relationship type stuff, like skipping down the road holding hands and meeting in a field and bullshit like that.
Yeah,
it's a different way to show the relationship building, which I really, really like and I really appreciate it.
Well, and there's also the sister. You get to see the sister in that scene as well, and
a couple times.
Yeah, there's one in particular though where she's like walking behind them and she looks pretty forlorn.
Yeah,
and I think that sets up later on in the movie whenever we know that her relationship goes south. You know what I mean? And her relationship was already going south, obviously.
Back there.
Even back then, yeah. So, I mean, I liked how they kind of worked her into that scene to kind of show us, okay, well, yeah, she's hanging out with them and getting to know Mary, but they're also laying the groundwork for, she's going to be a hiccup in this whole movie, possibly even one that makes him lose his daughter for at least a couple of minutes. We'll get to that part.
Yeah.
We'll get to that part.
So Tim bumps into Charlotte at a play. They go to dinner together. He walks her home. She comes on to him.
Margot Robbie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes on to him, but he declines the offer, and he runs back to Mary. The first part of this movie that I thought was inconceivable. not plausible. Right. I buy the whole time travel thing, but not this part.
Not turning down Margot Robbie.
Exactly.
In fact, my wife's like she wants you, and I'm like go away. Go away, just run away, just tuck and run, man. You're done.
It's a trap.
Yeah, exactly, it's a trap. And she goes, how could you not? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, yeah, exactly. She's wife's looking at me like, yeah, you right.
I mean, you just do it. Go back in time, reset a little bit, and say no, and then you leave.
That's true. It's not like you lied.
Oh, wait. Right. I guess morals.
Yeah.
This is where Justin becomes a whore, and you start judging him.
So here's the thing about
Justin gets a 0.1 on my scale.
I was waiting for that, and I was thinking of you, Eddie, when I was like, oh, don't do it. Eddie's going to call you a whore. Don't do it, man.
He already got close enough for me to call him a whore. No, the biggest issue, I think, with the Margot Robbie thing is that I don't really see a need for her character in this movie. I don't think she's necessary to any. She doesn't help to further the plot. Now, I do think that having her at this scene right here kind of makes us realize that he has now skipped over the cheap use of the time travel, for lack of a better term, to loving Mary. But I think we already kind of know he loves Mary, so I don't understand why this scene is all that necessary.
Yeah, the scene, all it does is it's a vehicle to get him to propose to her, which could have been done with the play.
15,000 other ways.
Well, it could have been done with the play that they were at.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're watching a play, and okay, it's a moving scene where somebody loves somebody and they get hitched or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been anything.
Yeah, it could have been anything. Right?
I find Margot Robbie to be clickbait in a weird way for this. I just don't see a purpose, and she never comes back. I mean, it's not like we see her again at the wedding or anything like that. She doesn't come back.
No.
So what's the fucking what was the purpose of her in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is you're right, to show that he's making a change, but to also show that he has morals. I guess that he's not going to cheat, even though he has an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and Richard Curtis, the director, he wrote and director and writer.
Yeah.
He will create characters just to forget them. He'll create characters as a vehicle to a certain point and then go, okay, you're out of my movie.
And it might have also been just something more, I don't want to say carnal, but more, hey, you screwed me over at the beginning of the film. This is just me getting you back. I'm going to turn you down now. Kind of thing.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
Kind of bookend that
but
relationship.
what Eddie's saying, it doesn't really propel the movie forward as it needed to.
Yeah, I'm grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Well, no, and my thing is not even just that scene, but the scene at the beginning. I don't think the scene at the beginning with her being a cock tease is all that necessary.
Yeah. I think it was just to actually prove that she is who she is.
Yeah, but okay, I'm with you on that.
Then if she has that scene later.
Yeah, and then the scene later makes sense of,
she's
like
obviously
Justin's
coming on to him.
Yeah, and Justin's right of going, it's kind of payback. And you're like, never mind.
Yeah, and see, my whole argument is just cut the whole character. Just literally cut Margot Robbie right out of the credits. She's not even in the movie, and you almost don't miss her. Come up with a way that he can find to propose to her, I should say, and he starts his London love journey a little bit earlier in the movie, and we shave 10 minutes off the film.
And it's probably one of those plot lines that look good on paper.
Yeah,
like it reads well in a story.
Yeah,
but just doesn't translate to film very well.
Or maybe somebody had an executive producer daughter who was like, "Hey, I really want this blonde Australian chick to be in the movie," and they were like, "Okay," and they wrote it in. Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. A little shout out to a really good podcast and YouTuber there.
Yeah. So he runs home to Mary, proposes to her. She says yes, and then Tim takes Mary to meet his parents and tell them that they're getting married. And that they're pregnant all at the same time.
Pregnant.
Pregnant. And then I have in my notes, they play the most awesome game of 20 questions I've ever seen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the one where Rachel McAdams ends up holding her breasts and jumping around in underwear.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
How does that propel the movie forward again, by the way?
It does a lot.
Yes, it's absolutely necessary.
Yes.
100%.
I would say so.
Okay.
You can't have a movie without that scene.
I mean, what it does is it actually sets up their wedding, because he basically says, "This is where we're going to get married. This is who my best man is."
Yep.
It tells you everything that's.
There's a lot of exposition in a kind of a cleverly done way.
Yeah.
I think.
Now we do skip over one thing that I found funny, and I actually laughed out loud. My wife actually laughed at it, which was kind of scary but awesome too. Is when they do make the announcement that they're pregnant at the dinner table.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And the uncle,
Uncle D.
Tim's Uncle D. He's aloof in the whole movie.
Oh man,
he's
great.
off in his own little world, and he doesn't notice things. And he's like, "Oh, you're pregnant? Who's the mom?"
Like, who's the father?
Yeah, who's the father?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well that would be awkward, wouldn't it? If it was somebody else?
Yeah.
So
he's pretty. That character doesn't get enough screen time in this film.
So when this scene happened, you know what came to my mind is that up until about this point, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, where's the conflict of this movie? Like, what's going to go wrong?
Yeah.
Right, because there's no conflict for this guy. He can reset as many times as he wants. There's no detriment or anything. But then when that scene with the Uncle D happens, I'm going, oh wait a minute. Does every time he jump back, does that make you like go insane or something? Do you develop like Alzheimer's or something?
That'd be interesting.
Every time you go back, and I thought, okay, that's what's going to happen. He's going to develop Alzheimer's later or something like that.
Yeah, but the dad didn't.
Right.
So
maybe
it skips a generation or something.
Well, I mean, I thought it might be explained away as his dad didn't use the ability.
Oh,
because we don't know.
Or didn't use it much.
He used it a lot.
Yeah, you're right. Well,
because when he was saying, like, at the very beginning, he was like, I read so many books.
You're right.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
and going back to, there's no conflict in this movie. There really...
Well, not yet at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only really one.
The train is just chugging along.
Yeah.
It's like all happy and go lucky and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's kind of, okay, don't take this the wrong way, Kyle, please. It's kind of weird that you picked this for romance, because typically in romance movies in particular, the conflict is with the romance, right? We're going to see them like start to break up in some weird way, and then they get back together. That never happens in this movie.
Right.
There's zero conflict with the love interest at all.
Right.
There's never a conflict except at the very beginning whenever she forgets who he is because he jumps back in time to help the playwright. The conflict is with his dad, with Tim's dad dying, and then him deciding to basically jump back in time and, to jump back in time one last time and, before his son or daughter is born, before the last kid is born, and lose his father forever. That's the conflict in the movie. There's almost zero conflict up until that point.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange.
Yep. So then we fast forward to the actual wedding. They have a disastrous wedding reception, basically.
Which I thought was hysterical.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, the weather was terrible. His dad, I wrote in my notes that I really like the heartwarming speech that Bill Nighy gives to his son. I thought that was really nice.
I like how they set it up though.
Right.
Because after the first speech, he was like, "Oh, I didn't tell you I loved you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you meant it." He's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, you don't have to do it again." And he's like, "No, I have to." Yeah. He's like, "I'll be right back."
Yeah. And then his dad jumps back.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like. So Tim and Mary then have their daughter. They name her Posey, and Tim comes to the conclusion that time travel is no longer necessary. He makes that comment in a voiceover. So then they're celebrating their daughter's first birthday. So we fast forward a year. Right, celebrating her first birthday, and Tim gets the bad news that his sister Kit Kat is in a car accident.
Yep.
Yes.
Did anybody expect this?
No, not when I was originally watching it. No,
I thought she was going to commit suicide.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
I had a feeling that something was going to happen to the sister.
Yeah, I was just waiting for her to commit suicide the whole time because she looks depressed and more depressed and more depressed, and the boyfriend's obviously a piece of shit. And when he shows up at the party, but not her, I'm like, oh, he's going to say she killed herself this morning, and then Tim's got to jump back to save her.
Yeah.
But nope, just a car accident.
Yeah. So
just some minor scratches on the head.
Yeah, pretty much what you said. Tim decides, oh, well, I can fix this.
Yeah.
So he jumps back and to...
well, he picks her up. So he picks her up for the party, right? They go to the party, everything's fine. At the end of the party, they have a conversation, and he's like, listen, I can jump back in time. And she's like, what? No, you're full of shit, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, no, seriously, I can. And he convinces her to climb into a cabinet with him, and they jump back into the New Year's party.
Right.
And she's like, well, then I need to do what I should have done forever ago. And she goes and hits the face, the boyfriend, Jimmy. Thank you. And the best part of this scene to me is not just her punching him, it's the look on Bill Nighy's face whenever he realizes what's taking place.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, my son's taking care of my daughter. And then
wow.
Too much lip movement there.
He wasn't fucking from New York, at least, Kyle. Okay? At least it was close to Britain, somewhere in the UK.
I got to give you props.
I tried. Anyhow,
so why didn't Bill Nighy do this? Why didn't Dad do this?
Because I'm not sure. I think because Bill Nighy knows that if he jumps back in time, it can screw up the kids, which is what Tim finds out whenever he comes back to the present, quote unquote. He finds out that by taking the daughter, or his sister, back in time, before the birth of his children, before he's ever even met Mary, he has now wiped Posey, his daughter, from existence. Mm-hmm. And he walks in like, where's my famous little girl? And next thing you know, he means little boy.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, little boy.
Looks totally different. Like, who are you?
And he jumps again back to the birth of the boy.
Yeah.
And talks to Bill Nighy, to his dad. And his dad's like, I should have mentioned this.
Oh, yeah. This major important detail.
Yeah. You can't
by
jump
the way,
before the kids because no two sperm will ever reach the same egg in the exact same way.
Right.
So you're going to have a different kid every time you jump back before the kid.
Which is an interesting premise for a time travel movie.
Oh, it's a super interesting premise. And then they break their own rules because apparently he undoes it and then manages to bring Posey back.
Which I can understand.
You're gonna have to explain this.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. Just because it's movie magic. That's really the only reason.
You can't say movie magic for everything.
Well, yeah, you can because it's a fucking movie.
That's true, but
there is no such thing as time travel. And
in this universe, there is.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But in reality, you can't actually. I know they break things, quote unquote. But if you have the scenes lay out, like, okay, so she gets in a car accident. Okay, so the root cause of the accident is she met this dude at the party.
Yeah.
All right, let's take the dude out of the equation. Cool. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good. Oh, wait. I have a really different kid. Mm-hmm. Shit. Okay, so I need to fix this somehow. Well, I want my kid back that I spent a year with.
Yeah.
And so I've grown fond with them.
Yes.
So I just need to go back without my sister Kit Kat and basically let everything play out normally.
So I agree with you.
And then the wreck happens again, so it symbolizes we're on the original timeline.
So I agree with you that with what you just said makes sense. But unfortunately, Bill Nighy doesn't explain that. What he says in the film is no two sperm will ever reach the same egg the same way. And what that means is that whenever he jumps back, the way that you're saying Tim jumps back to New Year's Eve, then it would be a whole other kid that could possibly come out.
Because that timeline was then split.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if he goes back to not split it, then everything is originally fine.
But can you ever go back to the same timeline exactly the same way?
Well, I don't know.
That's not explained.
No, it's not explained.
Okay. And that's my issue with it, is that it
so you're bringing in variables that aren't explained nor are relevant in this.
Apparently I can just say movie magic, Kyle. Like, well, I don't know.
No, you're adding things that weren't explained nor not explained. So,
well, no, like I said, Bill Nighy says no two sperm could ever make it the same way, and that's where I'm like, okay, so he makes the jump back to not save the sister. I'm totally with you, right? So then whenever he comes back forward to the time with Mary, I would love to think that Posey would come back to existing again, but it would appear. It would seem like they would come forward to a new baby. It's not the end of the world for the film. It's just one thing, but it would seem like he would come forward and wouldn't even be the Posey or the boy.
When you also notice
it'd be another child.
Yeah.
Well, you also notice that the car wreck is the exact same.
Yeah.
She's driving the exact same car, the same car hit her.
Yes.
And everything. It's the exact same plot, or it's the exact same timeline.
Totally agree.
So then, if we're on that timeline, we're on that timeline. There's no breakage or
they do
whatever.
this. They do this twice in the movie, and this is
the second one.
The second one is the most egregious. This is just one of them, but we'll keep going and come back to it at the end then.
Yeah. So all that explained. I mean,
or not.
Well, I mean, I have a different look, but honestly, it's too much to get into with just audio. So we fast forward, what I think is like 2 years later, and they now have another baby. So now they have two babies.
Yep.
Tim gets a call from his mother that his father has been diagnosed with lung cancer, and we find out that he only has a couple weeks to live. And then his father imparts onto Tim, basically, to be truly happy. Mm-hmm. To be truly happy, you just have to live your life like an ordinary person, day by day. Forget about this extraordinary gift. Or at least take a good day, jump back, and kind of relive it.
Yeah, and tweak it a little bit to where it's like you're enjoying it more and more every single time.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that thought.
Yeah, and I kind of got pissed off that the dad didn't actually go back and diagnose it earlier. But,
Yeah, because he said that he started smoking
way before, he started smoking, but the diagnosis part is what I'm pissed off about. It's like, okay, well, I got it diagnosed, but it's just too late. But I guess in this one, if he would have gone back in time and had it diagnosed earlier, maybe he would have survived a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just surprised that question wasn't asked.
Right. I mean, because, if he only has a couple weeks to live, that's an advanced stage of cancer. Like,
that's not an early diagnosis.
I'm surprised he's not in the hospital.
Right. He's not hacking up a lung or anything.
You got a good point, though. I mean, the guy can time travel. Why couldn't he just jump back to 20 years before? The kids are already born.
Yeah.
Nobody's not born, right? So he jumps back to 20 years before, and he's like, Doctor, I believe that I
have a bit of a cough.
Yeah. Can you x-ray my lung, please? I'm pretty sure I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, no, lung cancer, it's kind of terminal. Well, I mean, you could get it with chemo, or maybe I don't know.
If they catch it early enough,
super treatable.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
My take on this, because I thought the same thing, is like, why didn't he diagnose it earlier? My take is there's a voiceover that he says, that he gives to Tim, and Tim says in a voiceover, basically, live every day. I have a feeling that Dad is kind of tired of using the thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like he's ready to move on.
So he's just accepted it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think it's more of an acceptance kind of thing.
And that's what I ended up thinking after the scene was over. I'm thinking, well, he has technically lived for a very long time. Mm. Because if you keep jumping back in time, your mind is now like probably 30 or 40 years older than your current mind.
Yeah.
Well, and he by his own admission, his thing was books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's read all these books 2, 3, 4 times, because he even made the comment he's read Dickens like 4 times, 3 or 4 times, whatever.
Yeah.
So he's done everything that he wants to do. He has a wonderful life and all this stuff. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. My life is complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the funeral, though, is whenever Tim realizes, well, I don't really have to lose my dad. I can jump back in time and just see him yesterday.
Which there was a really cool shot that I saw. I guess it was right before the funeral started. Yeah. He's like, hey, I got to do one more thing or whatever. And he's walking towards the cabinet or whatever
towards the door. No, it's the door. It's the library.
That quick change.
He goes off to the corner or off to the side, disappears, off and camera, then immediately walks back in, change clothes and everything. And then, he's on the couch, the dad's on the couch reading Dickens or whatever, and he's like, oh, man, let me read this quote or whatever. And he's like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, oh, it's that day. Okay.
Yeah, he realizes.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, he even commented on it. He's like, did you such and such?
Yes.
I forget what he says, and he's like, good.
Yeah, good.
All right, cool. So there was obviously something they had talked about it, like, I would like you to do this.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah, and this is when the movie starts getting pretty emotional.
Gets you in the feels.
Yeah, it gets you in the feels, for sure. So then we fast forward to...
Tim keeps visiting his dad for, like, we don't know how long.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, they live their life and everything, and then...
Mary asked him for a third child.
Yeah. What did she call it?
The safety baby?
The safety baby.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
The lifeboat baby or something.
Because you can have... what if one of them is really smart and the other one is really dumb?
Yeah.
It'll make the other one feel really dumb.
Yeah.
So this way they can be dumb together. The third one because they'll be dumb together.
Yeah. So he agrees, and then he realizes that because of this dilemma, he can never go back to see his dad because of the baby. So I really like this decision-making scene of his. So he realizes he's got to move on.
The insurance baby.
The insurance baby.
This is one of the only, like I said, this is the only conflict in the movie. This is the only time that he's truly conflicted in the whole movie. I mean, there's a couple of moments.
Well, I mean, I say the sister accident, whether to keep his old baby
I give you
versus
that.
having his sister go through that again.
Yeah, I give you that.
And I mean, there's other conflict. There's not just man versus himself, and there's man versus nature, right? With the whole time travel piece. So you've got conflict. I mean, there's a conflict of just right at the beginning when he fixes the play. Mm-hmm. And now he's got a conflict of, I have to go find her now because she's the love of my life, and get her to fall in love with me.
Yeah, then that's at the very beginning.
So,
like I was saying,
so there's
a couple of pieces. Yeah, but this is the one that, I mean, the sister one I'll definitely give you is as high or as close to as high, but this is the one that marks the film with like serious shit.
It's
like
one,
he really has to decide. Do I have another baby or do I say goodbye to my father forever?
Right.
And he opts to say goodbye to his dad.
Yeah. So then we fast forward about 9 months where Mary she looks like she's about to pop. Right?
Oh, yeah. She even says that.
Yeah, she even says, I think it's coming tonight. So then that's when Tim goes, okay, I'm going to go see my dad one last time.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they break the movie. Yes.
So then Tim takes a moment to go back and visit his father one last time. The two time travel back to when Tim was a kid, and there's a whole montage of them playing on the beach together, all happy, and all that.
Okay, don't jump over this. I'm just curious. How does that work? So Tim and Bill Nighy, Tim and his dad, jump all the way back, pre-Mary, pre all the babies, pre possibly his sister, we don't know, pre everything, to when he's a little kid. And
he looks to be about like 8, 9. 10,
I was going to say 9-ish. Yeah. They jump all the way back to that. And then they come all the way, Tim comes all the way back to the future. Yeah. And no baby changes, no Mary's not a different person. Mary's not Margot Robbie now. Would have been interesting. Just saying.
I actually thought about that.
Yeah, right? He comes all the way back and he's like, oh, shucks.
Charlotte.
he's got 3 kids with Charlotte, and you're like, oh, shit.
Obviously something worked, though.
Right?
That would have been funny. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have been a good romance, but had it just ended with him being like, and credits, like...
That's funny.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't know.
How does that work?
It breaks the time travel of the movie.
It does.
It breaks the science. It totally does.
Yeah. It does break the rules.
But I can look past it because of the feels I had right then.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking of the rules of time travel and how they exist in a different form in every single series of movies. But yeah, the son and father thing going way, way back in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely does break the rules of, how everything plays out in the timelines. Now, the one thing that could save it is when they were about to go, the dad was like, well, maybe if we just are really, really careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, they were really, really careful. There was nobody else.
They only interacted with themselves.
There was nobody else on that beach. And who knows? It may have just been in their minds. It may have not been an actual place and time. It may have just been some sort of other timeline. I'm like really far-fetched.
I was about to say, because we haven't seen that at all in the movie. So, keep going, I guess. Movie magic.
So you could actually, if there's so many timelines out there, think about how much crap that they have ruined in the whole spectrum of time.
Well, according to Bill Nighy, nothing, because he's like, what about the butterflies? He's like, so far we haven't screwed anything up. Yeah, so apparently that doesn't matter.
Yeah. So far, he hasn't screwed anything up that they know of.
Seems like a good time to mention the kid thing, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Whenever he was explaining the butterfly thing,
exactly.
Seems like a perfect point to drop that little nugget.
Well, then there wouldn't be conflict in the end. So
true.
But I think since they were very careful. They may have found a different timeline that didn't screw up anybody's time in the future or the past, and they just had their little special moment. And scene.
I mean, I can buy it just because, like John said, I was emotionally wrapped up at the moment, and
for sure,
it was just a good ending. So then we see a little montage of Tim and his family living out their lives, doing every mundane, ordinary things, and then we see that the new baby's born. It's a boy, and it looks like the other kid that he had earlier.
Which is strange. Yeah. Well, they needed to bring him back, and it's probably in his contract.
Yeah, it's probably the child actor.
We didn't just wipe a baby off the face of the earth. Look, he was still born.
It still lives.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, maybe. And then we have credits.
Well, we have a scene of that. I think he's having a speech on. Just make sure you live your life every day, like it's like the best day of your life. Right. Find something that you enjoy every single day. And it's got like some people that were in the movie before and enjoying themselves at the park and all that kind of cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then scene, which it kind of ended kind of abruptly. It was kind of a weird cut to black.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Kyle on this. What I felt like was the first hour and a half.
Yeah.
Takes forever. It's just the longest bit of like we're gonna explain everything. He's gonna jump back and forth 54 times. The last 30 minutes,
it was a whirlwind.
It's like 4 years in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
The whole movie takes place, I think, over 8 years.
Over 8 years, and they spend 30 minutes on the last 4.
Yeah,
and it's like, but why so quick? Like, why so like you said? Like we literally flash, and 9 months have passed. You know what I'm saying? It just seems to be incredibly fast the last 30 minutes. I don't know. So I'm kind of with you on that. Like it just sort of
the ending wrapped up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I think I was just ready for it to end at that point, so I didn't feel like it was
it's about time.
Yeah, it's about time.
Jeez.
But actually, speaking of the credits, I was curious. The dad, Bill Nighy's character, he's credited as dad, right? Because we don't know his name. The name is never mentioned,
right? Yeah.
And I got to thinking, wait a minute. Now, this might be stretching, and it probably is, but dad is a palindrome for anything that you can read forward and backwards, right?
Yeah.
And then that got me to thinking, well, Tim's name, if you just add an E, it's time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
still with you.
That's all of my brilliance.
I was thinking mitt.
And if you say
I was like mitt.
if you say Mary and you add an R to the middle of her name, it's Mary.
Exactly.
Like the person that Tim wants to marry because his dad backwards and forward. No, what?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was. I know I'm reaching, but I just thought that was interesting.
No, what's funny is somewhere there's a DVD bonus clip just waiting for you. There it is.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. So the budget for this film.
Well, hold on, real quick. So there was an actress that was going to play Mary before this.
Margot Robbie.
No.
Oh, they switch roles.
Yeah, Zooey Deschanel.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would have taken it too.
And you know what's funny is that we after the movie ended, my wife said, she obviously said, "This is a terrible movie. You made me almost cry." All this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because emotion, no, none of that. She said, I was watching I was looking at Facebook or something, and there was a celebrity doppelganger thing, and she's like, I'm wanting to say she was Zooey Deschanel was her doppelganger, and I looked her up. I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah,
I can totally see it.
So there's another actress that I don't think was asked for this role or anything like that, but I could easily see in that character's position would be Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
I can see her
playing
but they're all that same type of woman. I hate to be like that, but they're all slightly emo, alternative girl, cutesy. I'm a little demure, but I'm real raucous in the bedroom kind of person. And I could see any one of those three. And Emma, what's her name? Not Emma Watson. The one who
Emma Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone would have been, but she would have been 15, I think, when this movie was made.
No, this was made in 2013.
Oh, never mind. So she would have been early 20s, late teens,
something like that.
Yeah. So Emma Stone easily would have been it too.
Who else?
That was it. But I just thought Zooey Deschanel would have been an interesting choice, I think. But she had to drop out for scheduling reasons. The other thing that I found out that was interesting was this had a secret title while it was filming and while it was being distributed to theaters. It was called Cupboard.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
Cupboard.
Glad they went with About Time.
The Britain in the cupboard?
Yeah.
In the cupboard, yeah.
Britain in the cupboard.
Was the original script that Tim was actually the bad guy and he stole Mary's life away from her and she had no way of knowing?
Yeah, it was rated R. And actually, this was rated R.
Imagine how much happier she would have been with the other guy. We have no way of knowing because Tim didn't give a shit to even think about it.
No, he didn't, and good for him.
I wouldn't either.
Fight for what you want.
It's a little messed up.
If you got the power, knowledge is the power.
Go get her, Tiger.
Yeah. This movie was actually called Roofie. Don't know if you know that, but if you can't remember the night before, nothing matters, ladies. Aha! Jesus. That's not how that works, guys.
Nope.
Good Lord.
Talk about time traveling.
Yeah, right?
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So the budget for this film was $12 million.
That's actually pretty cheap.
Okay.
That's a cheap movie for that kind of... I thought that was really low.
Well, there's no CGI in it, and almost all the actors and actresses
practical.
Other than...
And that's what I liked about the time travel thing is there was no...
Device.
Crazy special device and special effects and
some audio and
particles and stuff like that. It's smash cuts and that's it.
Yeah,
which I liked it. So the opening weekend was actually pretty low, but for only a $12 million film, it made $1.076 million for opening weekend. So, do you guys think that this made its money back?
Well, what you
12 million?
Yeah,
I think so.
What you just read was the U.S. box office.
Yeah.
I think it did because you didn't read the U.K. box office, where I imagine Bill Nighy.
Actually, it was just U.S. and Canada. It doesn't have numbers for U.K.
I'm saying if you add in U.K., I think it would be better. So I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, I think it did.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it definitely made its money back at $87 million.
Nice.
I have a feeling this is one of those movies that gets carried by word of mouth.
Yes.
You know what's funny, by the way? Not to call out Hancock or anything like that, but I will say that if you think about proportionally, yes, Hancock made a shit ton of money. It made $600,000, right? $600 million, excuse me. But it cost $150 million to make.
Yeah.
So it only made technically 4 times what it cost. This movie made almost 10 times what it cost.
Just about.
Not 10.
No, it's about 8.
7 or 8. Yeah. Sorry about
something
that.
like that.
Yeah. Nice. So, I mean, it actually proportionally did better than Hancock.
Exactly.
And as well it should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way better movie. Yeah.
So, Rotten Tomatoes, the audience gives this an 81%.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah. And the critics give it a 69%.
Oh, wow.
Which is funny because the 6 is the reverse of the 9. It's 69 no matter which way you flip it.
Palindrome
numbers.
Not trying to say that. Never mind.
Well, Kyle, since this was
that was gross, Kyle.
This was your movie, you get to go first.
Yeah, so this is actually, I think, the second or third time I've watched this. The first time was actually in theaters, so I was probably at 1 million. Which is kind of sad that only made that much. But yeah, you're right, Justin. This was kind of a word of mouth type movie. And Domhnall Gleeson, I think this was one of the first ones that he was. I guess he was he in Harry Potter?
He was in Harry Potter, yeah.
Yeah.
They do that little joke when she's stripping and she says that's one for Hagrid.
Yes. That's right. So yeah, I
forgot she was talking during.
He had some fame from that movie, and so that kind of carried over. And it's like, okay, well now that he's in something else, let's go see him. So it brought over probably a lot of the Harry Potter fans. I really enjoyed this movie. It really gets me every time at the end. Yeah, it's. I picked this up for romance, mainly because that's his end goal is to find a girlfriend or to find, somebody to live the rest of his life with and stuff like that. But other than that, it's totally different than a romance. It's got, obviously sci-fi, fantasy, all that kind of stuff, comedy. So it's kind of a all around good film to me. I didn't really notice a whole lot of the pitfalls with the time travel stuff, but that kind of, I don't really go into all the technicalities of that stuff. But yeah, I think I'm going to rate this an 8.3.
Okay, an 8.3 for Kyle. John?
I really like this movie. The story is, to me, absolutely fantastic. It's got sci-fi, romance, drama, comedy. It deals with life, death, tragedy, and love. It's a movie that hits every feeling, and it left me very satisfied. I had a good feeling at the end of the film, despite the constant need to cry or want to cry about the dad passing away. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are unanswered questions and issues with the time travel aspect, but those are offset by the story and the amazing acting from every actor in the film. I can't fault anybody. The filmmaking wasn't great, but it was above par. It wasn't bad in any way. And it makes me actually want to watch Love Actually and Pirate Radio again, which is by the same director. Mm-hmm. So that being said, I'm going to give this film a solid 8.
Okay, an 8 from John. Yeah, I have to say this is probably one of the first romance movies I enjoyed.
Wow.
Nice. That's saying something.
Yeah, the last...
I didn't pick it just because it had Margot Robbie in it.
Oh, well...
I mean, I know that kind of, upped the points a little bit.
Well, if that's the case, you'd have picked Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
For romance.
I could have picked it a romance. Yeah. There's romance in there. Romance with money.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a money.
But the last 25, 30 minutes of this movie is really good to me.
Yeah.
It had me chopping onions almost towards the end. The hour and a half leading up to it, or however long it was, I thought the movie went at a pretty good pace. There's only some of the scenes that I think we discussed that I would definitely want to shorten if I could. I thought the filmmaking was excellent. The only story part that I questioned while watching it was about the car accident and that whole situation. So it did take me out of the movie for a little bit, but as things kind of started happening again, I kind of just left it off to the wayside, kind of deal, and kind of got back into the movie. So that's good. It didn't completely take me out. And yeah, all the actors did a fine job, I think. I think I'm going to give this an 8 as well. I'm trying to decide if I should go a little lower, a little higher, but I think I'm just going to stick that in the middle and go 8.
Okay.
So overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. I've seen it once before. I think I saw it back in 2013. I think whenever it hit discs, like, red box type era. I didn't hate the movie back then. The big issue for me with the time travel stuff is that it takes me out of the movie. That whenever stuff like that happens and they go, well, they'll fill in the blanks. I'm like, yeah, we can, but if I have to fill in the blank, I'm thinking about filling in the blank instead of enjoying the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's what bothers me about those types of situations. So, so for me, I mean, I like the love story. I think Domhnall Gleeson is actually, I wouldn't call him inspired. I don't want to say that, but I kind of like his. I don't want to say oafish. It's like a nervous nerdiness that makes him sort of endearing. I like that. I think Rachel McAdams has a similar quality. Emma Stone has a similar quality. Anna Kendrick has that same quality. It's just like I'm cute, but like I don't realize I'm cute, so like I'm cuter. That kind of thing. And Domhnall Gleeson pulls off that as well. And Bill Nighy, I just like him every time he's in a movie.
Bill Nighy's great.
I don't know why it doesn't work. It shouldn't work. You know what I mean? But it does. It's very weird. So yeah, I did like the movie. Like I said, there's some things I really liked that they did, and then some things I didn't. I would say that this movie for me is, I'm gonna go 6-8. Because I think it's a fairly strong romance without being over the top. It's got some flaws, but it's definitely not something that people will hate by any means. I think it'd be hard to hate. Let me say it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, About Time averages out to 7.8.
Okay.
So a pretty high score.
Yeah.
Nice. There. So with that, we need to spin for the next host to go through the whole process again.
It's gonna be Kyle.
We only got 4 more shows.
Yeah. What do we have left?
We have
science fiction,
fantasy, science fiction, thriller, and Western.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for you, Justin, in Western.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, all right.
I know what you're going to pick.
All right. So we are
Maybe
going...
you don't.
I hope you do. Go ahead, John.
All right. So we're going to spin the wheel for who the victim is.
Yes.
And here we go. Oh, it's me.
Here comes Western.
It's me.
Yeah, it's me.
All right. So what genre are you picking?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna find out.
Spin that wheel.
It's like Price is Right.
Yeah. Oh, it almost.
What?
It
what
actually
is
it hit it.
Western.
Told you.
kidding me?
I told you. It
That was really close. The needle
Good
was
call.
very, very close.
It was.
It's always Western and John.
Ooh. I hope it's a good one.
See,
I've been wanting to see this movie for a while.
Oh my gosh! See, I've got 2 of them though. Okay, I'm gonna pick a movie that is gonna make it seem like I'm just gonna pick John Wayne movies. This whole whole show.
The shootist was popular, so.
But I'm going to pick The Cowboys from 1972.
Okay.
The Cowboys. I don't think I've ever seen this.
It stars John Wayne, Roscoe Lee Brown, and Bruce Dern. Remember Bruce Dern from The Burbs?
Yeah.
Remember that guy? And it's about a rancher, whose name is Will Anderson, is forced to hire inexperienced boys as cowhands in order to get his herd on to the market on time. But the rough drive is full of dangers, and a gang of cattle rustlers is trailing them.
Okay. What year did you say this was?
1972.
1972. Okay.
And I hadn't seen this movie until after we actually watched The Shootist. After we watched The Shootist for the show, I got into a real John Wayne kick, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch every John Wayne film ever made, which is impossible, by the way.
Yeah.
So I watched this film, and I'm like, oh, this is really, really good to me. Not to influence you guys, but I really like it.
Nice.
So,
Okay. So if you want to join along, go to justwatch.com, look up The Cowboys, right?
Yep, The Cowboys.
The Cowboys, a John Wayne movie, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Yeah, later.